Hello everyone, Grounded's newest update just dropped. 1.4.6 is officially here. First up, we do have some Halloween-inspired building pieces to talk about. The Scarecrow has officially been added. It'll be available in the Science Shop for 200 raw science, and crafting this decoration requires 10 pieces of candy corn, 2 crow feathers, and 1 acorn shell. However, do keep in mind this item is a limited time offer and will only be available in the Science Shop until the end of October. So here's how it works if you do have any questions. Once you've unlocked the Scarecrow recipe, you will be able to craft it any time going forward, even after October. But do remember candy corn only appears during October, so stock up by trying to break every single food item that you come across, and eventually you will spawn in some candy corn. Don't worry about the candy corn expiring or vanishing though. Anything stored in your inventory or a chest will remain safe past October. However, once the month is over, you will not see any additional candy corn spawn. If you happen to have a candy corn spawn in your world currently, it will not disappear. It will stay there until you harvest it, but then it is bye-bye candy corn, at least until next year. So if you're interested in making some scarecrows or just gathering candy corn, then stock up now while the supplies last. And if you're unsure where to look or where to find all this food because you're newer to the game, or you're just kind of in a frantic panic trying to get some the last couple of days, the Grounded Wiki has a complete guide to all of the food or the candy corn locations. Now, if you are wondering if it's worth going through and spending all that time harvesting up the candy corns, you probably want to know what the Scarecrow does. And essentially, the candy corn Scarecrow goes through and passively generates crow feathers for you. Essentially, you just leave it there while you're playing the rest of the game, and when you come back, it will slowly have some feathers that it's accumulated for you. It's not perfect and it's not super fast, but you know what? Sometimes it will just save you that extra time trying to go through and hunt down that crow or those feathers, because sometimes that can certainly be a pain. So all in all, not too bad and a pretty great addition if you can take advantage of it here in the last couple of days. And with that, let's move on over to the pumpkin. Now, previously players encountered issues with the jack-o'-lantern on the porch not appearing in worlds created before October. This update ensures everyone will see the pumpkin in their game regardless of when their world was created. Now, in order to confirm you are running version 1.4.6, or if you're missing the pumpkin, go through and pause your game and look in the top left, or on your main menu, look in the top right. If you do not see 1.4.6, then you need to go through and manually update your game to ensure you're not missing out. Again, just keep in mind the jack-o'-lantern, like candy corn, is only available until the end of October. So this patch was a little bit late in regards to the Halloween stuff, but there is a whole lot of other great stuff in this patch. Let's take a look at that now. Let's take a look at the red ant pet. This handy little companion's bonus hauling capacity has been boosted from 10 to 15, making it a game changer for builders and resource gatherers. Those extra slots truly do add up, making long haul trips more efficient and productive. Next up is the black ant pet, and they've received a major enhancement. Its damage resistance has skyrocketed from 10% to 50%. This is a huge buff. This actually goes back into when 1.4 was first released and it had the same 50%, but then eventually it was nerfed. It seemed like that may have not been what was supposed to happen though, because we are back to 50%, which is definitely helpful and appreciated. So it definitely has a high resistance now and certainly worth using. Lastly is the fire ant pet, who's also seen an impressive buff, going from providing a 10% acid damage bonus to a 25% all damage increase. So for players looking to maximize their damage output, this shift is huge, offering stronger and more versatile support for different strategies. Those pet buffs are certainly a welcome change, but there's even more significant changes happening and going through and balancing things out, which is fantastic. The sour Orb Infusion, for instance, has seen a much needed nerf to its AoE damage, which has been drastically reduced to create a more balanced experience. Also, the AoE stun effect has been removed, preventing it from immobilizing players unintentionally. It turns out that the sour Orb Attack Infusion was previously using the player's sour staff attack code rather than the custom infusion setup, which would explain all of the damage and the stun that was happening. This fix also will now allow players to perfect block the sour Orb attack, allowing for a more skillful defensive approach. Next up is probably the most impactful change. Creature damage scaling has been adjusted, dropping from 40% to 20% per remixed level. Between player damage and resistance buffs and the scaling reduction for enemies, the overall experience is now significantly more balanced to allow for more intense but manageable battles. It remains challenging without the constant risk of being one-shot by literally everything. And now some smaller notes here on the updates. The Koi Armor set now correctly applies its defensive down effect to creatures resistant to acid status effects. And lastly here, for those of you who enjoy the Playground mode, additional remix items are now placeable in the Playground mode. And as a special note, I've actually been working on a custom yard in Playground mode, and I plan to share it with everyone as I make progress. Feel free to check out my community page where I posted a poll for anyone interested in updates or exploring this build once it's ready. It's actually been some of the gameplay you've been watching here in the background. Alright, well that wraps up Grounded's current update. We do have November just right around the corner, so we can expect some more festive fun. But with the pet buffs, gameplay balance improvements, and new creative items, there is a whole lot to look forward to. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.